Hello, I am Fuzzy Face and we're back again with another update of this Motorsport Manager Career Mode series. This is part 1, 2, 3, 4 of Season 2. We're currently doing quite well in the championship so far. We've got Santa Ana all the way up here in 6th, Latinen's running in 12th at the moment. We are actually in the top 3 with 45 points, some way off second place, but also some way off bottom, which is a good result for us. So far, we're still making quite a bit of money per race. We are in Milan next, which is a track that we did well with both times last season. With this track layout, we finished 6th last season, I think it was, with Santa Ana, so hopefully we can have another good race, hopefully keep ourselves higher up. We are currently building a new gearbox. As I said in the previous videos, we do make enough money per race that we can concentrate on the car earlier on, so hopefully we can get a few parts built, keep up to speed with a few other teams around us, so we don't we're not the lowest ranked team anymore, that we don't fall so far behind that we're having to play catch up in later seasons. Because basically with the money we're getting, since we're not paying a high price for factory or staff or the drivers, we do have the money there to put into the car, and if we put that money into the car now rather than hiring a driver that costs $500,000, then when we do hire a better driver, we're going to have a better car going forward. Plus, at the end of the season, or towards the end of the season, maybe going on even from race 6, we can concentrate on building a new addition to the HQ, whether we're going to update the design centre, whether we're going to go ahead and upgrade the factory again, I'm not quite sure yet. That's something we're going to have to decide on later down the line. But yeah, and also last time out, we actually using this part for the first time, which was a +1 risk. We ran the engine last year, pretty much for half the season. We ran an engine with a +1 risk, didn't get found out, but the first time this season running a +1 risk, I went with that because I thought the chances weren't that high of getting caught, but we got caught in the first race, and obviously now that part has been banned, so we can't use that part again during the season. But we are building a gearbox that does have a better rating than this one, 125, so once it's built, Santa Ana will be getting that gearbox. Latinen will be getting this one that's rated 90. She's quite angry because they are equal status driver, and we do give the better parts to Santa Ana, but that's only because Santa Ana doesn't have to worry about the reliability aspect of the parts. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead now to get the cars repaired. See where we're at. Where are we at with reliability on these parts? Santa Ana's pretty decent enough. We're going to have to maybe do some work on the engine. I'm going to have to swap one of these out for the engine. We'll keep with that one. Not because it is quite low, but I don't think that's low enough that it's going to worry her. Most Latinen's parts are up here. We do have the engine expert mode, so the engine shouldn't drop too much over the course of the race, so we're not too worried about that at the moment. That 64% should be good enough to get it through to the end of the race. Should we work on that? If we don't work on the engine, we'll go ahead and work on all of them, so then we should be pretty up to scratch there. We're not going to concentrate on doing any of these, but we'll put them there so they are slowly upgrading. Might as well go ahead and do that. It's not going to be able to do much work, so we're going to keep the slide this way to get the reliability up first. And hopefully this gearbox will be built and we can do some work on that just before the next race. It says it's ready in just under 18 days, so we should have about 6 days to work on it. Whether we can get it to a point where we're happy enough to put it in the car, I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll see when we get there. Let's just skip ahead now. I don't think there's anything else to do between then and the next race, so we'll just keep going and skipping. 15 rounds, it looks like they dropped a race. I think, I'm sure they were 16 races last season, but Chapman not doing too well this season, is he? Where's Chapman in the... Yeah, so the Steinman have dropped way behind here, and the Panthers, which is the equivalent of the Red Bull, are running away this year with the championship.
have a look. We still got the worst car, still got the worst drivers and so on.
So I am thinking about spending some money maybe and bringing in a bit of a better driver at the end of the season, or maybe getting a younger driver that has some potential. And it looks like we've got a politics vote coming up as well. It looks like we're voting on a new race edition of Yokohama track. I think we're going to go ahead and abstain on that because I'm not too bothered about whether we had a race or not. So if I abstain, I won't get an extra vote for, what was that, Maya Lattinen taking acting lessons. So she's got a +10 marketability, so it might help us when one of these comes due next time. We might be able to get a bit of a better sponsorship deal. We are still running around the 35% mark. Not the greatest, but then again, we are the worst team in the entire series, so we shouldn't expect to be having decent sponsors at this stage. So we did take a we took a bribe last time out, didn't we? We took a bribe. I can't remember which team boss it was from, but we took a bribe to get a little bit of extra money, so we're going to have to vote for this. Not that it matters either way. I think it was going to get voted in. Because at the end of the day, for us, it means more money. Maybe it doesn't mean more money for some of these teams in this. Maybe some of these computer teams are losing money per race, but for us next season, if we've got 11 races instead of 10, that's an extra £1 million or more for us. So that has been voted in. So next year we will be racing in Yokohama even. Yeah, so we've got 7 days to go before the race. The gearbox is finished being built. It's now rated a 155, so that's quite an improvement over the other gearboxes. So we're going to go ahead and put that in Lattinen's car. We're going to go ahead in Santarana's car, and we're going to give Santarana the 92 rated one. But then again, we did take a hit on the reliability of this one. So whether we can get that up to scratch, I do sort of want it to be just about 50% if we do want to go ahead and put it in the car. A lot of these are high enough that we shouldn't have to worry about them at the moment. So we're going to see. Where's the gearbox that we just put in there? 11 days after the race. 6 days. So if we can get that up to 50%, then I'd be pretty happy with that. It looks like it went up from 25 to 28, then whether it goes up 3% a day. So we should be at 9 more percent, 43%. I'm not quite sure. We might go ahead and risk it just for this race coming up. I'm a little unsure, but Santarana does have that nurse boost, so maybe it won't run into the red zone. It is Milan. It is tyre wear low, fuel burn medium, so maybe it's a course that doesn't wear on the parts too much. I'm not sure. We've got up to 55%. It might be able to get up a bit more before we get there. Probably not though. I think we'll go ahead and risk it. We always go for this 9th or above because that 75,000 is not worth it. It's neither here or there. 55%. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and risk it because we did get above the 50% that I wanted. We've got a little bit higher than I thought we would with it. So we'll go ahead and risk it in the car. And she's happy that she's got the better car. So let's go ahead and race and get to this practice session in Milan. A track that, as I said before, we have historically done alright with last season in both races. We seem to have decent results. I think, yeah, it was race 9 last season, wasn't it? We were sitting in 8th. We actually managed to climb up to 6 in the table before making a mess of it on race 10 last season under double points. So yeah, hopefully we can do good on this race again. I do have my notes from last year's race. We had a setup that we managed to get out, that we got Lattinen set up to a 98% last season, which was running this. So this is a setup that I used last season. Left the pressure on the camber the same. Although it was Lattinen that had the best feedback with this setup, so whether it works for Santarana or not, I don't know. We'll go ahead and run her on a pair of mediums to start with as we get the setup right before we put them on a pair of softs to get an idea what the lap time will be. We ran long again because this track doesn't have many turns in it. She wants a handling higher this time round, but this is what she was happy with last time. We'll go ahead and see what she says about it to start with. See if she is still happy with that. And we do still have these longer practice sessions this year, not the 12 minutes that we had last year, so we do have a little bit of extra time. And I think now, I said I didn't want to do this before, but I am going to send them out and bring them straight in just to get that feedback rating, and then we'll try and get some time set, just to try and give us any advantage, because we do sort of need any sort of advantage we can get with this car. So hopefully we've got a decent setup here. As I said last season, this setup that we're running at the moment was rated 98% by Latinen. Whether she's as happy with it this year, she doesn't seem to be as happy with it. Sant'Anna's a lot more happy with it than Latinen, so that'll be the changes in the car, because obviously we've got a much better car than last year. We've got a couple of parts that are rated over 100, whereas last year we had, at this point in the season, a lot of parts that was, I think the brakes were rated 1, just a 1. So she's 93%, so she's quite happy with that. We won't mess with it too much because that's not too bad. We'll just knock a couple of things down. We'll see how that goes, and then we can try and decide from there. We'll do the same thing again. We'll send them out and bring them straight back in before we go ahead and set a lap. 89%, so it's not as good as last year. So she certainly wants to handle in more this way. Try to bring that down a bit. She was quite happy with the downforce, so we do need to drop it a little bit more maybe. We'll go ahead and do that. We won't change anything too wildly. We'll send them out again for another lap. Just send them trundling around the circuit one time, bring them back in again, and see what sort of rating we get this time. We'll keep them on the mediums. We'll try set a time on the medium, see if we can do that, and then set another time on the softs, and then we might get a good idea of what the difference is in the times between the mediums and the softs. Although when the races are this short and we do have good tyre wear, I don't think there's any point using the mediums at all during this race. So we do have Sant'Anna's a lot better, we do have Latinen's a lot better now. So let's see what we've got this time. 98% we've got up to. So we're happy with those. So it's just a downforce, isn't it? Maybe if we go that way a little bit more, and we can do that to bring those back in line. We'll see if that makes any difference. Otherwise we'll revert back to this setup. We won't go out on a new pair because these mediums seem to be quite durable around this track. So we're going to do this. We're going to set a time this time, and then we'll go ahead and see what we can get out of a soft tyre after this. Although it is quite hard in practice session to get a clean lap because there is always a lot of cars out on the track, so we're not going to get a full idea of what we'd be like with a clean lap. Although this does simulate race conditions a lot more. You do get seem to held up by a lot of cars that aren't doing their flying laps. We'll go see how we compare at the moment to the other teams. It does look like Latinen's got quite a bit of space. Someone just got out in front of her out of the pits, haven't they? Slowing her down a bit there. Is she getting past it? I think that's one of the Dragon teams. Shoots ahead. I don't think he's doing... So they're all happy with how things are working at the moment. Latinen 3 seconds down. Sant'Anna's 1.5 seconds down. I don't think Sant'Anna's got quite as much traffic in front of her. She's got a ZRT behind her and a Dragon in front of her. And Latinen comes across the line. 19th place and 19th. So we're running. We're not too far off the other teams at the bottom, but we are a long way off the teams up the middle of the order. Latinen set quite a bad time there, even though she's happy with the setup. Yeah, so whether that's just because they got held up or not, I'm not sure. But we've got enough time now to go ahead and do another lap on soft tyres this time. I think we didn't change out for her settings, did we? So we'll go ahead and just knock that way a tiny little bit, see what that does. We'll go ahead and send her out on softs this time. Downforce wasn't as good for Sant'Anna, so what we're going to do is revert back to this one. Revert back to this setup, and we'll take... What did we use last time? We went that way, didn't we? So we'll take this. We'll Keep messing that up there. We'll take this the other way just a tiny bit without trying to mess up the handling and the speed balance too much. We'll try that. We'll go out on softs again. I don't know whether any of the cars out here actually push. If they're doing a flying lap, yeah, they seem to do, don't they? They do that where they put the tyres onto attack and the engine mode onto overtake. So we'll go ahead and do that for this lap and see what sort of times we can get. Lattinen got out of the pits first, so we'll keep an eye on her and try and time it so when she does come over the line, we are ready to switch these up into the reds. It does look there's a couple of cars coming out of the pit, so we'll go ahead and have her attack in overtake mode. Switch back to Santa Ana and we'll do the same for her just as she comes across the line. And we'll see what sort of times we can get this time. So Lattinen's pretty close there off the first sector. She's got a bit of clear track in front of her, so hopefully we can get a decent idea of the times. Santa Ana's actually up there as well, but a lot of cars are running mediums. Lattinen comes around, 11th place, that's not bad. What's Santa Ana going to get across the line in? 18th place, so did she get held up again? I'm not sure, but I think that's it for us now. We're not going to be able to get out of the pits another time. We should have maybe run 2 laps for this stint, shouldn't we? They're both out of fuel now, so they'll both trundle around back to the pits. We should do that after completing our flying practice lap, shouldn't we? Then they won't run out of the fuel on the way back in. But yeah, so I think we lost her a little bit there, didn't we? We changed a few things, but we managed to get Santa Ana everything looking excellent there. So I think we'll revert to the previous setup with Lattinen, and we'll go ahead and keep that exactly the same. So hopefully there's not going to be any rain in this Milan race, because I think I'm going to put Lattinen on the one-stop strategy again. We'll turn her engine down to low and try and get her as far as we can off that before her first pit stop. Hopefully she'll move into some clear air and be able to get in front even with the low engine mode without any traffic. So hopefully she can get in front and get a couple of laps in before everyone else starts pitting, and then she'll pit and be out. Hopefully we've been able to push a little bit, and then when everyone else pit stops she might be able to move back up the order that way. And then Santa Ana, we're going to do the usual, we're going to push, and it is raining. Just as I said, I'm hoping it's not going to rain, so what's it going to do? We're going to have to start the race on full wets, aren't we? So that's, as I was talking about the one-stop strategy, that's out of the window now, so we're going to have to just go ahead and do what we normally do. We're just going to have to react to the rain for this race, I think. We are going to go for the wet tyres. We're going to revert her back to that setup. The wet tyres, we'll put a full tank of fuel in, because I don't know when this rain's going to end. We can't see that far ahead of time. Maybe that's the one thing that we could do, maybe get the forecasting centre, because then I don't think any of the other teams have got that forecasting centre, so we would be able to make better decisions with our tyres, get the jump on a lot of the other teams as the weather conditions change. Whether that would be worth the money or not, I'm not quite sure, but it's certainly something to think about. And we actually got 99% there at the end with Santa Ana for this track. So we're going to go have ahead and have them push for the first lap and then turn them down. Hopefully we can get to around lap 5 before having to pit. But of course we're going to have to keep an eye on the weather, so we're just going to have to base what we do in this race off of the changing weather conditions. Maybe we've got an all wet race. Maybe. I think everyone else is starting on the wet, so I don't think there'd be anyone stupid enough to start on the intermediates, even though it's intermediates conditions for, what would that be, the first one lap just about, wouldn't it? So we'll push for this first lap. Lattinen's up into 7th. They're holding on to 7th. So let's see what sort of result we can get from this race. Hopefully we're in this top 9, which is the only thing that we're aiming for. It would be nice to finish higher than that, but 9th or higher gets us £450,000, which is what we're hoping for. We'll just sort of slow that down. We'll sort of try and react to everyone else around us. These wet tyres do wear away quite quickly. But it looks, as we go on to lap 3, the rain's going to subside a bit and we're going to slowly drop. So we're going to be coming into intermediates about lap 4. So we're going to go ahead and try and get to around that point before we have to come in and pit. So we'll turn them down a little bit here. Both cars will turn them down. Latinen's running in 9th. Santa Ana's still down the back of the grid in 18th. Hopefully we can pick some of that time up in the pit stop. Latinen's dropping down the order here a bit. Perhaps probably because we turned the engine down. But we're not bothered about losing places here. We're just going to stick to our strategy here. We're not too bothered about what other cars do because we're all so bunched together that it's more about the strategy of the race, not overtaking cars in this series, I think. And we've got a safety car, so we're going to get a free pit stop anyway. Should we take that pit stop and put a fresh pair of wets on? I think we should do. This is going to be enough time in between these two cars to get them in. Santa Ana's down the back of the grid anyway, isn't she? So it's not going to be too. So there is a safety car leaving, isn't there? It's going to be out for about 2 laps. So it looks like it's going to be alright for intermediates when the safety car comes in. So we're going to have to go intermediates, aren't we? It's not going to be dry enough at any point. So we're going to go fast because she does have the stat to do a fast pit stop. So we've put a full tank in. We've gone to intermediates. Should we put a full tank in? Yeah, we'll risk it. Then we can at least push a little bit if we need to. Go ahead and do that. Oh, I can't remember if I did everything then. Terrible for that. Right, we've put the tyres on. Go through it step by step here. We've put the fuel in. Everything looks okay. Pit strategy fast. Happy with everything. We do not have enough fuel to finish the race, but that's obvious because we can only put 6 laps of fuel in. That's her done. We're going to do the same for Santa Ana. Everything exactly the same. Intermediates. Full fuel tank. Parts looking alright. We're going to go fast even though the risk is too much, but I don't think the risk is that great. There's more upside to it going right than there is a downside to it going wrong, I feel. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll turn these down even though we don't need to at this point. We've got a slight graphical issue with the trees there flashing away. Someone flashing torches in the trees. I think everyone's going to dive into the pits here. Whether anyone else is going to follow our risky strategy of going for the intermediates, I don't know. Whether the other teams, whether the AI is good enough to react to that. No, a couple of them are going dry, aren't they? So why are they going dry? The track's not going to be dry when the safety car goes in. I'm rather confused by that. That's lap 3 there. So it's not going to be totally dry enough for the dry tyres up until a bit later, is it? Yeah. Whether we've just made a huge mistake there. A lot of teams have gone for an even riskier strategy than us there, haven't they? We'll go ahead and turn the engine mode down to conserve some fuel as we follow the safety car around. I think we did manage to gain a few places in the pits there, didn't we? We moved Santa Ana up from 18th to 13th. Latinen, did she move up? Was she about 12th? Quite remember us. I need to pit for wets, but we're on intermediates now. So what these other cars must be thinking, I don't know. They must be doing they must be slipping around all over the place, even behind the safety car, because this is this is conditions for the wet tyre. Is the rain going to stop enough? It does look like the rain's going to stop enough, but we might be able to get a boost. So we're going to do a lap on the intermediates. Hopefully we can pick up some of these places over these cars that are on slick tyres, because they should be slipping around all over the place, because when this safety car goes in, it's not going to be dry enough even for the slicks. So maybe we can get ahead, do one of our pit stops, and we should be able to run then to about lap 10 before coming in again. So maybe we'll get some clear air to run on our soft tyres, catch up a couple of cars at the back and jump them. So it'll sort of work like undercutting a lot of these cars. How dry is it going to be when the safety car comes in? I don't know, because we're going around quite slowly, aren't we? Maybe all this talk is just hot air of me hoping that this Our strategy of changing to the intermediates there, want a waste. Because it does look like the track's going to be dry when this safety car comes in, doesn't it? Oh, holy moly, it's just going to be wet for about a lap, isn't it, I think. Just enough wet track. Hopefully. The safety car's heading in this time, so we're going to go ahead and attack and overtake, because we're not going to be on these. We're going to be able to come in for another pit stop in probably about a lap's time. But we're going to have to decide which car we want to keep out longer. So Latinen looks like she's in the best position here. And look at that, she is away because we're on the better tyres at the moment than all of these. So we're shooting past all of this, and she can shoot past up into first place. Hopefully she can get far enough ahead that when we make this pit stop it's going to work in our favour. So we're going to have to stop this and decide here, aren't we, whether we want to look at that. She's got quite far ahead. She's managed to get a gap of 7 seconds there on the intermediates. Is it going to be wet enough for another lap? I can't quite decide. It's going down a little bit, and it's not fully dry. We'll go ahead and risk it, see if she can get ahead a bit more, and we'll pit Santa Ana this time round. Put her on a pair of softs. She shouldn't need to change tyres again before the end of the race, but we might go ahead and do that when we stop for more fuel in a bit. And as always, we'll go ahead and just go for fast every time here. So we'll see if she can keep pulling away. She is still pulling away here. Look at that, she's got 9. She's done totally well. That strategy's totally worked for her there. Because, yeah, she'll have to make one pit stop. Whether all these cars... yeah, all of these cars are going to have to make a pit stop as well, aren't they? So hopefully we can sort of hang on to this, and we might be able to win our first race here. I'm never going to be fully satisfied that we're going to be that far ahead, but she is still pulling away here. It's starting to slow down a bit. The rain's not fully gone. Should we pit? Should we pit? If we do pit now, would we get enough to the end of the race? Are we going to lose our effectiveness of these intermediates off another lap? The lap is still a tiny bit wet after this lap. But then we're sort of out of the range of what the intermediates are effective on, so I think we're going to have to go ahead and stop. We do have enough fuel to get to the end of the race now, so we're not going to have to make another pit stop after this. So we'll see where we can get out of the pits here. Every other car will have to pit as well. So hopefully we can stay somewhere close to first place after we come out. We don't actually have excess fuel, so we're not going to push anything. We're going to try and keep everything at a level for Latinen until the last couple of laps. So hopefully when everyone else pits, we can sort of keep up with them. And when we see them pitting, we can go ahead and push again and try and get out in front of them. We're going to go ahead and keep Santa Ana pushing because she's got to make another pit stop anyway. It just depends how much we're going to get held up at the back of this field and when these other cars are going to pit. I don't think we can stay in touching distance of first place, can we? We seem to be dropping... No, it's Santa Ana that's running way behind, isn't it? We'll go ahead and turn her down a little bit, just to try and conserve some fuel and see where we can get to. Just a lot of these cars are now coming into the pit, so let's see if we can get a jump on them. Can we? A lot of them have stayed out, but we've passed a car that was actually in first place there. We have actually got out in front of the car that was running first then, so these cars in front of us now do have to pit. I'm going to go ahead and have Santa Ana push again. We'll see when she needs to come in. She needs to come in this lap. Just going to put fuel in, I think. I think these tyres are good enough to get to the end of the race. What difference does it make? 7 seconds. It adds 3 seconds on. So should we try and save 3 seconds? Or would the new softs give us that net benefit of 3 seconds back? I don't think it is. So we're going to go ahead and keep the same tyres. We will go fast again. Hopefully that's not going to be a mistake, keeping the same tyres on. But we've got to try and move her up the order somehow. We're now currently running in 7th with Latinen. Can we hold on to first place? The other cars are sort of catching up behind her a little bit. But we do have some excess fuel to push at the last, and we're up into first place here. We've got a lead of around 5 seconds and closing. We can turn the engine up a little bit. She had a bad pit stop there. She's back out at the back of the grid. Second and third are closing in on her. Slowly but surely. 2 laps to go, I think. 2 laps to go. We don't have enough excess fuel now. We're going to have to turn down the engine. Oh, this is going to be so heartbreaking if we lose this first place now. That car behind us, don't even know what car that is. I'm not sure, but that's totally flying round. Whether Latinen can do enough to hold him off, but there is a lot of long straights on this, so it is easy to overtake on the straights. Just like that, the burst past us. But maybe some of these might have a few issues. We are on the last lap now. Do we have enough fuel to push? Don't know. Are we on the last lap? We are, aren't we? Oh, we're going to lose the podium as well. Don't lose the podium, Latinen. That just shows how much these other cars are better than us. We ran out of fuel just as we came across the line. Try to hold on to the podium by pushing. Didn't work out, but 5th place is decent enough. It's only a difference of 2 points in this series, but unlucky we didn't get a podium there. Totally my fault, I think, for not paying attention, but whether we would have been able to hold on to it, not pushing for those last couple of corners anyway, because all the other cars seem to be a hell of a lot quicker than us in a straight line. As you can see, we did quite well with the pit stops. 5th place is not a bad result for us, it should, but then again Santa Ana finished so far down the order. Hopefully we're still somewhere near the top. We managed to pick up 18 points in that race. Latin is now up into 7th, and Santa Ana, because of that, moves all the way down into 16th after that race. And we're still running 5th at the moment. Still good results, so we've had three good results in a row now. So things are looking up this season to finish in and around that top half this season. Whether we can go ahead and keep up with this sort of form, I'm not sure. Hopefully we can. Fingers crossed we can. So both of these drivers are proving that it is sort of worth sticking with them and taking the money rather than forking out for an extra driver, because look at that, we're getting 1.3 million per race, which is going to benefit us hugely in the long run. If we were paying an extra, say, 500,000 out for maybe a 3-star rated driver, would that be worth enough to us rather than £500,000 a race, which is £5 million a season? Obviously that question to me is that we're going to take the money, because the HQ and the car, the HQ should I say, and the car at this moment in time are more important to us than having a driver that might only be with us for 2 seasons. So yeah, let's just go ahead and look at the male Eastwood Motorsport on good form car condition. Santa Ana's car never drops. So where did we go? So Latinen did there. She ain't got the best car, but that extra lap running on those intermediate tyres really worked in her favour there, getting her up the order. So hopefully we can stick somewhere around here, stick in 5th place. I think the markability dropped a little bit there. It should have. Oh, I think that's because we finished so far down with Santa Ana, making tons of money per race. Should we put some money before we go ahead and finish this into some new parts? Where are we at? The gearbox is looking quite nice there. The engine is not the worst. So we don't actually have the worst car now, which is surprising. We're got a better car than a ZRT, so we do have to work on the suspension at some part. Sometime. So what could we do? It's going to put the reliability down 20%, but of course we can always work on that. Plus it's a +4, it gives us a 125. What is the current suspension part at the moment? Let's have a look what the suspension is like in her car. An 85, so it would be quite an improvement, and it would give Latin an improvement moving from that part to this part. That's what we're going to do. Well, it's only 750,000 plus 100,000 for the 2 bits that we're going to add this time. We'll go that and that. I guess there's 125. We can improve that up to 139, which would be, and it's going to be ready 13 days in front of the next race, so we're going to have some time to work on it, so it should be ready to go in Santa Rona's car for the next race. Oh, we might even give it to Latin, and maybe we'll have to decide that next time. We'll have to see about that next time, because next time we're in Tondela. So next time, come back for the race in Portugal. And if you liked this video and you want to see the next races, you want to be updated with everything I'm doing, you can subscribe below. There are some links to other places that I post these videos to. I do post to Blogger and Facebook sometimes. I don't quite use them a lot, but yeah. And if you want to get in touch with me, leave a comment down below. I do like the comments. If you think I'm doing anything wrong or you want to see me do anything, I am open to suggestions here. And I do like hearing from everyone, and I do like replying to everyone. I try to reply to everyone that does leave a comment. And of course, if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up. And yeah, until we're back for the Portuguese race, I'll see you then. Goodbye.